NFC East now. Big story as always, Dallas Cowboys, right? Sometimes the obvious is the obvious in the first round, but I'll tell you what, maybe a pick mocked in the second round more than anything else that I've seen. Jonathan Brooks from Texas to the Cowboys. They currently have a running back room of Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn, and I like both of those players, but they're not horses like that, right? They're role players. Everybody and their mothers mocking Jonathan Brooks to the Cowboys for good reason, right? And to be honest, if he didn't get hurt last year, he might have won the Doak Walker Award down there at Texas. He was actually, as explosive as their offense was, he was the engine of it. He was their best offensive player. And Brooks, to me, is still the top running back in this draft, despite the injury. He's the back in this class that I look at the most, and I go, that guy looks like an NFL running back. Guys bounce off of him. Excellent one-cut runner, can shake guys in the hole. I think as long as he's recovered from the ACL injury, I'm on board with Jonathan Brooks to Dallas. I think it makes a ton of sense. I think as long as he's healthy, he can come in immediately and be the horse in the backfield that they need.
Yeah, that is actually like one of the most mocked picks I think outside of the first round that I've seen, man. And I think Jerry Jones loves his guys from Texas because you've in from that area, honestly. Because you've seen there was actually a theory of me and my friends. It's only the guys that have played in AT&T Stadium before Jerry Jones loves. I think Micah Parsons did that. He had an unbelievable game against Memphis in the Cotton Bowl. That was probably his best game of his career. Cowboys took him. CeeDee Lamb had an unbelievable game in the Big 12 championship game that was played at Jerry's World. Cowboys took him as well. I think Jonathan Brooks has played in AT&T Stadium before, so I think that'd be another that fit the narrative there for Dallas for sure. All right, I got the Giants here. This is probably a pick that's going to happen on draft night, and also one that I really like. It's Malik Neighbors going to the Giants at when they're picking at number 6 overall. I think he's probably the second best receiver in this class behind Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he is a special mover in space, man. He was the best receiver in college football this past season. He was robbed of the Blitnikoff Award, in my opinion. I think he would be a guy that would really, really be a value add for the Giants in that receiver room. He's a little repetitive for what they have. They have a lot of like slot receivers already in that offense. And he's not really a slot receiver, don't get me wrong, but he's kind of like a smaller-ish receiver. And they have guys like Darius Slayton and Jalen Hyatt and Wando Robinson who are kind of like that already, but none like Malik Neighbors. Like, he's easily the guy if he goes there to New York. So that's probably a pick that I would love the Giants to make. I think Rome Odunze would also be a great fit there as well. But if it's between those two, I'm taking Malik Neighbors over Rome Odunze. And I think the Giants should do the same on draft night if it's there at number 6.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know there's been a lot of whispers about quarterback, but they just need a number one weapon no matter what it is. I'll tell you, the next team I have here has a problem stopping those number one weapons, and that's the Eagles. Last year, they were in the bottom 5 or 6 in coverage grade total, and the thing that's always stood out to me, even 2 years ago when their defense was great, they have problems covering in the slot. And this past year, they were last in slot coverage grade by a mile. Like, wasn't even – it's by at least 10 points. It might even be closer to 15. It is – they just have all sorts of problems covering the slot. I'm going to get the Eagles here, the best slot corner in the draft, and Mike Sainristil still from Michigan. Look, in Vic Fangio's defense, running those zones, those curl flat zones in the slot, and just as aggressive as he is, and the ball skills and everything, I think Mike Sainristil still to the Eagles would make their secondary 100 times better. Look, they re-signed now Chauncey Gardner-Johnson after losing him for a year. That makes the safety position better. They've got Reed Blankenship back there. They got veterans on the outside who struggled last year, but still something in the tank. They need a slot corner in the worst way, man. And they brought back Avonte Maddox, but he was there on the Super Bowl run, and it just wasn't good enough. I think Sainristil still in Vic Fangio's defense, getting to the ball in the run-in pass game would be a perfect fit. If they get the best slot corner in this draft, their defense gets a lot better.
Yeah. I think that's a great pick as well. I think that's a very Eagles pick too. I think that'd be a pick that Howie Roseman would love to make there, probably the second round of the draft. But rounding out the NFC East now with the Washington Commanders. So obviously they have the number 2 overall pick in the draft. They're going to take a quarterback, whether that be Jaden Daniels or Drake May. I know you and I disagree on who they actually should take. You think Jaden Daniels, I think Drake May. So I'm going to go outside of that. I'm going to go to their next biggest need, which I think is offensive tackle. Right now they're slated to start like Braden Daniels or Cornelius Lucas at left tackle, and then Andrew Wiley probably at right tackle. They need another tackle, and I think that's probably where I'm targeting for them at number 36 overall in the draft. And obviously a lot of tackles will probably be off the board there at 36, but a guy who could be there right now he's actually number 36 on the consensus board, is Jordan Morgan from Arizona, who is a really good pass blocker and run blocker. He actually was 80 plus in both categories this past season in terms of his grades. I think Jordan Morgan's a really, really solid player. And now I don't feel great about him being your day one starter at either a left tackle or a right tackle. But out of all the guys who could fall to day two, because I think we're going to have a massive run of tackles in the first round, I think Jordan Morgan's a guy that I would really like to get in Washington's room, and just another guy to protect either Jaden Daniels or Drake May, whoever they actually end up selecting number 2 overall in the draft. I think Jordan Morgan would be a guy that I'm really having my eye on with that number 36 overall pick in the draft to protect their next quarterback. Actually, Dalton, did you see the story yesterday? They actually brought in Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and JJ McCarthy all at the same time, all had dinner together, all played Topgolf together. Do you think it was like a kind of like a competition between the three of them? Just kind of like, all right, let's see how they do Topgolf together and see like who the real competitor is in this room.
What a method! What a method to go about it. I don't think I've ever heard of that before, but I don't hate it either. I mean, get them side by side in person. I don't know if they were doing board work side by side or having football conversations, but what a way to do it. I kind of wonder what Adam Peters was thinking behind there. I'd love to be able to ask him that, but it's either that or it's just more efficient. They only had to go to dinner once instead of 3 times. So
yeah,
maybe it's a time efficient thing. That could be a thing too. If they're going to interview them all anyway, get them all in at once and let it rip just back to back.
I love the Topgolf thing. I feel like that's like a little competition thing that like Dan Quinn and all them and Adam Peters are probably watching. They're like, all right, how are they going to compete in Topgolf? Who's like the real animal here? But I saw that Dan Quinn picked up Jaden Daniels from the airport though, and someone said that, I don't know if this is true or not, so I'm not going to say it is true, but someone said Drake May took an Uber to the facility, whereas Drake May was picked up by Dan Quinn and Adam Peters. So maybe it's a sign of who they're leaning towards on draft night. But yeah, very interesting story that came out a couple of days ago about what the Commanders were doing in terms of their top 30 visits. But